Hello, everyone. This is Marita, one who catches lightning, with the Path of Ish podcast, Walking with Our Shadow, where we share ancient indigenous teachings of remembrance, all so we can walk and learn how to walk a path of radical self-love. Hello, everyone. This is Marita, one who catches lightning, with the Path of Ish, here to join you in an opportunity today. This opportunity is given to us when we agree to enter into circleness. And the agreement of circleness is that we allow all the things to arrive, to exist, to germinate, and to grow. Circleness understands that to grow is a cycle. And one might see circleness as cycles of life. And it has been taught so. With different parts of the circle representing not just the phases of someone's life, 0 to 16, 16 to 22, 26, 36 beyond, and so forth, but also of seasonality of the rhythms of nature. So when we enter into circleness, when we enter into an indigenous space of circleness, we are recognizing all. And by recognizing all, we're not reducing everything to the same. This is an important distinction. The Western world wants to create the everyday person, the every man, every woman, and they all look, sound the same. When we are talking about the everyday, all day, all, it is not everyone the same. It actually has the space, circleness has the space to hold multitudes. In those multitudes, to hold the possibility of all, especially the unknown. The reason that we're taking time to kind of redefine what circleness means, according to many indigenous philosophies, is that in the creation, such as King Edward's Circle of the Round Table, it recognized that everyone was unique, but yet gave everyone the power, equal right. One would say that circle, that table, gave sovereignty. And not just sovereignty to the king to make decisions, but sovereignty to all who were welcome to that round table. Circle understands cycles of life, and cycles of life take time. So one could say that circle, just like when you have a watch, that's a circle. It understands that things don't happen instantly. And as we redefine a definition of circle that is not confining, let us take the time to welcome the directions, those that witness circleness, that hold the points of relationship to time, age, process, growth. And so we turn to the east, that direction that reminds us of the coming of light, of a new dawn and a new day, the process of awakening to a new day. And then we thank the East for holding that, for witnessing that day in and out, the coming and the process of a relationship with light. And so then we go down, circular, walking down to the south, that place of the midday, that place that represents a season of heat of summer. For the east represents that spring and that planting. And so in and of the nature, just by going to east to south, we're not doing instantly. We understand that this journey takes time. And that journey of seasons where nothing is instant allows us then the grace to walk up as we thank the south for its time, for how it holds that time, how it holds that seasonality, time enough, right, for things to grow. And that's why it's called the place of the student, because you need to allow things to grow in their time. And so we head on up to the west, giving gratitude and thanks to the west. That time of being prepared, getting prepared, of harvest. That time of seasonality, where there is rejoicing as well as focus on preparing for a season without warmth, without plant growth to a degree. A season of lluvias, tormentas, a season that changes and gives the earth time to begin its process of renewal. So we thank the West. And so then we head up to the north. And in this north is the place of seed and bones, the time where we take the time when we take the time, the hibernation, the rest, the dream world, the time of the self, according to Hopi traditions. Are you really looking to see what have you gathered, how have you traveled? But the time of the self isn't singular, right? It is not in the absence of community, because all indigenous teachings have in their circleness the idea that one heals, lives, is witnessed in relationship to your many parts inside, that's a part of community, and to all living creatures. And so we give gratitude and thanks to the north. And with that, we walk around completing one phase or circle of a possibility. And so we ask to enter in the east to witness us as we are renewed again. The process of the circle always renewing itself, recycling itself. Circle gives us energy, kinetic energy as we move around. And so today we're going to plant a seed and watch it germinate and grow as we go around this circle of conversation, esta conversación. And this conversation started a day or so when I was teaching, and it was a community circle, which you are welcome to. Please join us in our community circles. And part of the conversation that I wanted to add to the circle of people who are just checking us out for the first time, or people who have been in this circle for quite a while. And that is the imagery that things take time. That when we are entering into a cultural exchange, wanting to understand instantly, that will never happen. And so things take time. And I've had students say, wow, I'm now understanding to a different degree something that you said or taught me 2-3 years ago. I had someone on Instagram write to me and say, wow, this is really over my head. I'll be reaching out soon. Yet I find people very frustrated when they come to indigenous circles, because even when the things that are said simply, they think they can replicate it and have it and understand it. The East means this, the South means this, the West means that, the North means that. It's not a checklist of what something means, but it is a deep relationship. Not just to the directions, but to circleness. And in that deep relationship, it is known that there is rediscovery. And this rediscovery allows us to delve deeper into subject matter and relationships in the time and space that we have for them. Things take time. And so in the class yesterday, I was saying, human attention spans have become around 7 seconds, 7 to 8 seconds. What can grow in that time? Well, during the class, we had a few ideas. And then afterwards, I had a few students reach out who come from the field of science. And I, of course, did my own Googling. And it was really fascinating. One of the fastest growing organisms on this planet is bacteria. And it grows, replication, within 4 to 20 minutes per Google, right? Minutes. It still takes minutes. It's not instant, right? It's not instant. Things take time. Then I went on to read on that seed germination takes 3 to 12 weeks. Whoa. I believe someone shared with me that a human cell takes at least an hour or or so. Please, if that's wrong, write in and we will rectify that. That's top of my head. And then goldfish attention spans are 9 seconds. Human attention spans are around to 7 to 8 seconds. And yet we want depth. And yet we feel alienated all the time, that we're not having meaningful, deep discussions and being seen by someone. There's so much social media and posts and desire, even back in the day, poetry, to be known. I want to be remembered. I want to be known. And some people have seen that as an opportunity to build things, to leave legacies behind. And that legacy usually includes a physical building, statue, foundation, that continues to live beyond that person's physical life, usually through money. So are we saying then that it takes money to be remembered? To really leave a legacy? There's only one way of successfully doing that, according to the societies that we've built on colonization. So I started digging a little bit more. And I wanted to see, let's first define instant or immediate gratification. According to positive psychology, is a term that refers, this is really interesting, to the temptation and resulting tendency to forego a future benefit in order to obtain a less rewarding but more immediate benefit. I'm going to read that again. I'm going to read it slow. Instant or immediate gratification is a term that refers to the temptation and resulting tendency to forego a future benefit in order to obtain a less rewarding but more immediate benefit. In other words, the promise or the equation, as I teach my students, of immediate gratification is that you're literally letting go of a more rewarding benefit because you need it now. What can grow instantly? Nothing. If we go down a little bit more, positive psychology has a lot to say about this. It says that this theory of instant gratification in psychology is known as the pleasure principle. So it states this: the tendency is known as the pleasure principle. The term was first used by Sigmund Freud to describe the role of the id, ID. Id? I think so. His proposed component of the unconscious mind that is driven purely by baser instincts. Then, if we go down to betterup.com, we see that a Stanford psychologist, Walter Michael, conducted an experiment with children in 1972 called the marshmallow experiment. Okay, we gotta see. what this is all about, right? So this marshmallow experiment, right, on betterup.com, says in this experiment, preschoolers were shown a marshmallow and a pretzel and then asked to pick which one they preferred. Afterward, the experimenter would tell the participant they needed to leave, but they could eat their favorite treat if they waited for the experimenter to come back. Each child was also told that they could signal the experimenter to come back at any time. However, doing this would result in them only getting the treat they didn't choose as their favorite. This sounds complicated. I'd be confused as a preschooler. Let's see. For this test, both treats were left in plain sight for the children to see. For a later test, the treats were covered. One group was given a Slinky to distract themselves as they waited. That would have been me. Another group of children wasn't offered treats as rewards at all. The experiment resulted in several insights, including the following. 1. Children giving distracting objects perform much better than those who weren't. 2. Children were more willing to wait for longer periods of time when they had a reward. 3. A young child's ability to wait was better when the treats were covered. Kids who waited for longer periods of time were also found to have better academic performance and stress management as teenagers. These same kids were evaluated 30 years later for health. Those who waited longer were found to have better health at that time. The academic and health findings are less compelling because they were based on a small sample of kids who were all connected to Stanford. But the insight about the strategies that helped kids delay gratification are still relevant. I'm going to read a little bit more and then we're going to continue this conversation. It goes on to say delayed gratification, also referred to as deferred gratification, is often difficult because we're wired not just to seek pleasure, but also to avoid pain. That's because two separate sections of your brain handle pleasure and pain, respectively. So, and it's funny. I'm going to read this last part because it's important. For example, it's less painful to zone out during a conference call than to listen attentively. It also is less painful to avoid workout than to go through with it to improve your physical health. Instant gratification is the avoidance of that pain. Okay. So here we are, creating a society that wants to avoid pain because you're told that pain is bad. I mean, it's not delightful, is it? And what I've seen based on people's recollection of their life to me is that there's some interesting thing about pain being connected to being bad. That if your life, or if you are in pain or things are going wrong in your life, it means you're a bad person. So now we're really complicating this because this is society. Societies are complex. They're complex algorithms. They're complex computations, right? It's not a singular equation that's happening all the time. And what are societies trying to create? Well, they tell you that you've created a society for safety and security, to be safe, right? John Locke's Treatise of Government says that humans give up their natural right, including to defend themselves, and do whatever they want to enter into a society because society is promising that protection from nature, from wild nature. I think something else that should be added to the circle at this time, as I was sitting and meditating with this, is the unbalanced societies that have been created. And to be able to move up in society, you become more unbalanced in the sense that you have less resources. You are stretched thin. And when you're stretched thin, trying to be everything and do everything, you also don't have time for deep things because you're using your energy instead of to go deep, to go wide, right? If you think of energy, right? Let's say you wake up every day and you have a certain amount of energy. Now I want to speak in joules for some reason, right? Let's just consider it an egg. Why not? Right? You can keep that egg, right, and not crack it and not open it up, but you have people to help you carry that egg and carry it safely. And that means they are helping you preserve your energy, right? In other words, if you have assistants, people who help you around the house, people who help you at your job, people who help you with your children, people who help you with your chores, right? You outsource things, right? You're able to keep that egg pretty intact. And the higher quality of personnel that you hire, the more money, the more they will handle it with kid gloves. Versus if you're given an egg at the beginning of the day and you're being thrown in all different directions, right? And you're running around everywhere, I'm sure that egg is going to crack. And it will get to that point where there's so many, quote unquote, things pulling you apart. It will pull your egg apart. And then whoever is there will eat it. It's usually not you. We have created a conundrum. Society has created a conundrum. And asking people to do more with less, I mean, it's ridiculous, actually. You have created a society that cannot hold deep things, take time to learn deep things. And of course you want that because you want them distracted. You want them exhausted. You wear them down that way so that any information or fact that you say with gusto becomes a reality. If you say a lie over and over again, it becomes real. Even though it's a lie, it's living. Lies, just as truth, live. And what's that saying? A lie gets around the world before you can get out of bed and put your pants on, faster than the truth. So lies propagate faster than truth. It takes time to find truth. And yet we've created a society of instant gratification where because there are declining attention spans and improved tech, this is rollingstones.com, have resulted in a culture of instant gratification. We don't just want content, we want it right now. Our brains are increasingly wired to only pay attention to things that deliver fast, instantaneous results. And so, my friends, here we are at a crossroads with decisions to be made. Now, these decisions don't have to be instantaneous, but we're adding all of these things to the circle for you to be able to sit with them and to simmer so you can examine your habits. So you can examine where is your source of information coming from and what is your habit of instant gratification. In one of the Google searches I was looking for, it was saying that it was a certain generation, the millennial generation, which was the first generation where instant gratification was the promise given to them, right? And I have a tendency to wonder if that promise was given to them because they had upward moving parents where possibly both were working. They have less time, and so they're giving their kids things in replacement for time with them. And so when you hear you want them to avoid pain and you want to avoid pain and guilt that you're not, quote unquote, raising your children like your parents did, right? And this is all just take it or leave it, right? It's a possibility. It's a question. That to avoid pain, the pain of the parent, right? Or the mother working, holding the job, keeping the house, doing everything while the quote unquote husband just maintained their status quo. This is what happens. When you have to do more just to get the normal respect, just to be treated as an equal, you have to do more. That's not equal. And we're seeing this not just in the binary, but we're seeing this because circle holds all beings in our continued disconnection within our societies and our societies from Mother Nature. Mother Nature, things take time. And the reason that we are not heeding the warnings is we think there's going to be an instant saving technological advancement that will save our way of instant gratification. But instant gratification in and of itself means we are forgoing. We have made a decision to forego a future benefit, something better, a better future, because we want it now. I see people also then taking very deep teachings that have taken lifetimes and generations of people to learn and try to condense it all in a meme or one Facebook post. Or, TikTok now has 10 minutes. Wow, that's a lot of time. when our attention span is only 7 seconds. And then I see people frustrated. Frustrated that they're not going anywhere. Or frustrated that they thought they dealt with something and it's back again. And it's because the onion metaphor, we have layers. We will not instantly get to the core of an issue unless we cut you wide open. And that is too much pain for people to endure or to even face. Because then they're looking at themselves in the mirror, thinking that the pain means they're a bad person. And we want to avoid being, quote unquote, bad people because of some ultimate judgment. The philosophies that continue to uphold colonization are stronger than they ever have been. And they are giving you instant gratification by yelling louder, talking faster, and promising that your way of life, your comfortable status, will be continued. Especially if you cut down opportunities for other things to grow. If you rob time from people. If you make them do more for less. If you don't give them their sovereignty, for they are just a human being. And that person is fighting just to live. To live. To be acknowledged as human. And your fear of not taking the time to learn and to listen and to create relationships because you don't have time for it. You want to continue in your distracted, instant gratification way. Means that nothing can live. Nothing can live. Your way of life or anyone. It will not have the depth that you desire, that deep connection to be known. And if that is your lesson in this lifetime, then so be it. I hope you learn it. But if this is not the lesson of your lifetime, I hope you can take the time to examine, contemplate, wrestle with, come back to, discover, rediscover, relearn. And know that it's okay not to know all the time, or to get the 10 gold stars, or to get the A pluses, or to get the raise. That method of giving you gratification can only lead to a certain level of life, yet so many people seek more depth, but still want and still cannot wait for delayed gratification because there's so much fear of the unknown. And so today, we're going to do 2 silent meditations. The first one, when I cue it, after we take 3 breaths. Well, we'll even try to do the 3 breaths in 7 seconds. Let me get my timer out. Will be 7 seconds long. Okay. The other one will be a full minute. Con cuidado. Okay. I'm going to start my timer, and I'm going to try to lead us through the 3 breath practice that I teach. And let's see if there's even time for that. Okay. Here we go. Okay, get into a comfortable space, and let's take our 3 breaths together. The first breath, there we go. That's 9 seconds. That was it. That was 9 seconds. That's the amount a goldfish can pay attention for. And we haven't even taken a breath. Let's reset. Vamos otra vez, con 1 minuto. Empezamos aquí. Okay, as you gather yourself, allow yourself to come into your space. Just take time to relax a little bit more as I lead you through these 3 breaths. This will be an abbreviated form of 3 breaths, knowing that we can always take more time to collect ourselves, to invite ourselves to breathe, not just with intention, not just with focus, but with welcome. So let us begin. In and out through the nose. Bringing our mind into this time, into this place. In and out through the nose. Bringing our bodies into this time, into this place. In and out through the nose. Bringing our essence into this time, into this place. That was 1 minute and I rushed it. I felt rushed. And 8 seconds. Sometimes my 3 breaths can take 3 minutes. With that example, let us thank all the directions and all the people who have been here, all the information from Sigmund Freud to the gentleman who did the marshmallow experiment, to all those who are dedicated to writing or rewriting and sharing studies and passing down knowledge, to my ancestors, to my teachers, and to all of you who come here, and for those of you who have begun supporting via Patreon, thank you so much to keep this podcast going. So let us now take time to thank the East, the South, the West, and the North, those guardians above, below, and on this plane. And as we close this circle, as we exit through the East, we bow down, knowing that all our relations aren't just human, but those beings beyond. And when we call upon them, if we say all my relationships, we're calling on anyone, everyone. I meant everyone, anyone and everyone. And so when they call on you, you need to hear them calling. And the earth is calling on her human relations to listen to her. Shade. Again, if you'd like to support us, we have a new Patreon page. It is listeners like you that will keep this podcast going and continue to get the word out there, this deep medicine that takes lifetimes to learn. May we have the grace to continue putting ourselves in a position to support our beingness. Shade. Once again, it is with deepest gratitude that I bow to you for joining me on this podcast, this episode, this circle, this plática, this meditation, this remembering. I hope that you have stayed curious. I hope to see you in the circle again next week. So make sure that you like or follow. Until then, may you be blessed with abundance of peace and radical self-love.